Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I may have been wrong about the designated Marksman rifles in Rainbow Six Siege. Sort of. For the longest time, I thought these weapons were completely useless because when you compare them to the automatic weapons in the game, they just don't seem to provide that much of a benefit. Rainbow Six Siege is all about getting headshots. It doesn't matter if it's a wee little pistol sniping someone from across the map, all the way up to a light machine gun. If you're able to get that bullet into the enemy's skull, you're gonna come out of that firefight alive. And so while it's nice that the designated Marksman rifles hit really hard, it doesn't mean a whole lot when you go against a competent player. They have a higher rate of fire. They're going for headshots. They can spray a hell of a lot more bullets downrange than you can, and as long as one bullet grazes your skull, you're gonna be down for the count. Your damage doesn't mean a whole lot in those types of situations. Yeah, you might do 50, 60 damage if you hit them in the body, but that doesn't mean anything as long as the enemy is able to get that one bullet into your head before you are. And so it's for this very reason why I avoided the designated Marksman rifles like the plague, because it seemed like Rainbow Six Siege didn't want you to use them because of this headshot bullet mechanic. On top of that, every single time that I used one of these guns, for whatever reason, I always slapped on an ACOG scope. I thought to myself, okay, designated Marksman rifle, these are meant for taking people out at medium to long range. The ACOG scope is gonna be the best pick here. For some people it may be. I know that some people swear by this sight when they are using a designated Marksman rifle, but for me, because it amplifies or seems to exasperate the recoil on these guns, it made it very, very difficult for me to line up consecutive shots. I may be able to line the first one up, but because I'm trying to take advantage of that recoil, my screen is bouncing around all over the place. I'm just missing everything, and that gives the enemy ample opportunity to figure out, oh, this guy's flopping around like a wet noodle at out in the distance. Let's just kind of line up a headshot and take him out and put him out of his misery. That's what it felt like every single time I was using the ACOG scope on a designated Marksman rifle. Some of you might be thinking now, okay, all this sounds like legitimate reasons for why you would never want to use this class of gun, but why in the hell at the start of today's video did you say that you were wrong about designated Marksman rifles? Well, everything changed when I started to use Blackbeard. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, Blackbeard, of course that's the reason why you think DMRs are good, because basically Blackbeard is overpowered. If you play him appropriately, it doesn't matter what kind of weapon that you're using. It doesn't matter if it's the assault rifle variant or if you're using his DMR, you're gonna have success regardless because the enemy can't kill you because of his shield. And while you're probably absolutely right with that assessment, Blackbeard is a little disgusting, it gave me the confidence to try out the DMR, but I was also realizing that every single time I was using an assault rifle, while there were some situations where I would go full auto, for most situations, because his assault rifle does have a hefty amount of recoil on it, I was tap firing a majority of the time. I was thinking, okay, if I'm gonna tap fire constantly, why not use a tap fire gun like a designated Marksman rifle, but get more bang for my buck every single time I do squeeze the trigger. That was kind of the gateway into experimenting with all of the other designated Marksman rifles in the game. Another thing that helped me out was that I was no longer using the ACOG scope. As soon as I switched it over to the holographic, it was a night and day difference. Sure, it was more challenging to go for those pinpoint-like shots at long range, but because Rainbow Six Siege, a majority of the firefights that you're gonna encounter are up close and personal, not only did it allow me to line up headshots more consistently in those situations, but it also allowed me to take advantage of the RPM on some of the guns. Buck's DMR, for example, actually has a fairly fast rounds per minute, and so if you are in those sticky situations and things are getting a little bit more personal, you can really rip into the enemy without even having to worry about going for headshots because of that faster rounds per minute and high damage for every single one of those shots. And so if you're someone like me who's always struggled using these guns, I highly recommend that you forego using the ACOG scope and use some of the lower optics like the holographic and the red dot sights. You may struggle a bit. It still requires more skill and accuracy than if you were using a normal automatic weapon. You still need to ensure your bullets are going exactly where you want them to go, but once you get a handle on things and once you start to understand how these weapons perform, it is very, very satisfying to get kills with them. One thing to note is that there aren't a lot of operators in Rainbow Six Siege that even have access to this class of gun. You've got Twitch, Blackbeard, and Buck. In my opinion, if you want to get involved and start to use these guns, but you're a little hesitant and you're not really comfortable with them right now, I recommend starting out with Blackbeard and then graduating on over to Buck. They're two amazing weapons. They're very good, but the reason why I recommend that you use Blackbeard to begin with is because he does have that shield. You can sit outside of rooms all day long. You can practice your accuracy on moving targets. You can practice using the DMRs consistently, and then when you start to feel comfortable with it, you can graduate on over to a gun that has a higher rate of fire. It may not hit as hard, but is also just as satisfying. The reason why I don't recommend that you use Twitch's DMR is because I find it to be more lackluster compared to all of the others, but also because she has access to the FAMAS, which is arguably the best assault rifle in the game. That high rate of fire, that high damage, and that manageable recoil is the perfect combo for Rainbow Six Siege. You wouldn't really want to give that up. And while I know that there are people out there that swear by her DMR and can do work with it, for the vast majority of players out there, I can't make that recommendation. And so if you're just starting off, go with Blackbeard to get comfortable with it, and then graduate on over to Buck and see if you enjoy it. And so I think the reason why I've been enjoying these guns as much as I have lately is that, first of all, I've no longer been using the ACOG scope. You would not believe how much of a game changer that was for me. It's ridiculous, but also because I've grown to expect the finesse and skill involved to be successful with these guns. Yes, you are going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage in some situations, but if you're able to catch the enemy by surprise and you even have a moderate amount of accuracy, if you can reel in that recoil, even if you're going for body shots, you're going to decimate the enemy. Like, they are a true force to be reckoned with, and I just enjoy that satisfaction on top of the skill involved. Really makes for a satisfying gameplay experience. But yeah, guys, that's what it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Give me your thoughts on the designated marksman rifles in Rainbow Six Siege. Do you love using them? Do you avoid them like the plague? I'm not trying to make them out to be the best gun in the game, because they're not. They still have a lot of weaknesses associated with them, but I'm happy that I've slowly started to use them more because it has been a lot of fun. And so give me your thoughts down below. But yeah, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.